everyone, and welcome to the Human Design Podcast with me, your host, Emma Dunwoody. I'm a qualified master coach and human behaviour specialist, as well as being a qualified human design coach. And I work with clients every single day to answer the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? I also assist them to transition from the person they think they should be to the person they really are on the inside. I teach people how to actually live their design instead of just knowing it. And if this is something that you want to do too, well, stay tuned or reach out for private coaching or Human Design Unpacks, where I show you exactly how to live your design. Hey, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Human Design Podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I want to share something really amazing with you. And it's actually one of our new Millions of Millionaires sponsors. So to introduce this body graph chart software that we've been using that's been mind-blowing. So I want to welcome the amazing Taylor Jyson, who is my incredible operations manager. Welcome along, Taylor.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. This is actually something that we implemented when?
April.
Yeah.
And this year.
We were just trialing it out because they'd reached out to us in regards to sponsoring the podcast or something like that, wasn't it? And so it kind of wasn't even on our radar, and we tried it out and we had such low expectations. And then what happened?
Well, I remember sending you a message going, Emma, why are we not using this? Because I was mind blown. You know, we get a lot of requests for stuff like that. And, you know, there's new softwares all the time. And I clicked on it, like you said, with very low expectations. And I started looking through what they can do. And I got so excited. You know, the MG in me was like, oh my God, we have to use this. And I saw the potential of it. And it has delivered more than expected. It's really awesome.
Amazing. Now, before we get into the actual numbers, because I know numbers with Taylor is a thing in our business. She loves to share all the numbers. Let's just tell the listeners exactly who it's for and what it is.
Yeah, so it's a great tool for anyone who uses human design in their business. So if you're a human design reader, a human design coach, or just someone who uses human design in your business, if you incorporate it into whatever you do, it's a way for you to embed an actual human design chart tool into your website. So, you know, if you want someone to get their human design chart, you probably send them to an outside platform somewhere, go to this website, put in your details and get your chart, whatever that platform might be. There's a couple big ones. And what's cool about this is that it allows you to put that tool on your own website and it's yours. So when someone comes and, puts their information into your website, they get their chart, and then you can hook it up to your email list, to your newsletter. You can have it linked to your own content. You can customize the reports afterwards that they get, so it's your own descriptions of what, this type is or this profile. So that's kind of what it is.
Oh my God, I love it. And it's so cool because I actually remember when Jenna Zoe, because it must be the same software that Jenna Zoe used and before anyone else. Yeah, right. And I was always like, wow, her chart looks so beautiful and it's on her website. That's so cool. So yeah, when we started using it, I was like, this is beautiful. I'm really excited that we can do it. But let's talk hard numbers. Like we have had some serious success with this, just adding this to our business. So tell everyone a little bit about the growth that we've experienced through using this.
Yeah. So since implementing it into our website in April, there have been over 4,000 people that have downloaded their chart through the website. And that's unique. That's not, someone who does it twice, because a lot of people, they'll go back because they won't download the PDF or something, or they lost it or misplaced it. That's unique chart downloads. So it's even more for people doing it twice. And it's been really amazing. It's more than tripled the size of the email list. And, you can set up sequences afterwards for people to, give them more information and keep everything in-house.
Yeah. And because one of the really big things for us is obviously human design made simple. So it gives us the opportunity to give our way of teaching human design directly to the people who want it. And I love that. I love that every single person that wants to get their chart, that downloads it, we can then support them on their journey straight away, which is, of course, what you set up, because you're amazing, to make sure that not only do they get their chart, but they also get this support, free content support that helps them as they're new to human design and on their journey. So beautiful. So how do people access this? What's it called? And I know that there's a benefit for listeners of the podcast.
Yes. So you can go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to bodygraphchart.com. And they have been kind enough to give the listeners of the Human Design Podcast a 50% off discount for 12 months, which is huge because it's already inexpensive to begin with. And then the 50% discount is going to put it at $25 a month. That's in US dollars. So wherever you are in the world, it'll be, a little bit different, but 50% off for 12 months. And the code is Human Design Podcast. And we'll put that in the show notes too for everyone. And one of the other things I want to say that's really cool about this chart tool is that it's 100% customizable, and it actually gives Chiron and the 4 arrows, which is what a lot of chart tools don't do that. So that's one thing that a lot of people are drawn to when they go to get our chart from our website is, I can get the arrows because of it, or my Chiron gates.
I love that. It's so cool. So check out the show notes, people. Get on it, because really it is such a powerful and, as Taylor says, inexpensive tool. Like, it paid for itself in the first 2 days, I seem to remember, or first day, I seem to remember. So it's so valuable, and it gives you the opportunity to really build your brand and your communication with your clients. So thank you. Go check it out. Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Human Design Podcast. We are doing the final episode in the line number series. So we're going to be talking about line 6s today. And I got 2 of my favorite humans here to join me to talk about being a line 6. So welcome, Jess Bubbico.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And welcome, my wonderful husband, Justin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. So we're talking to a manifestor 4/6, of course, Jess, and Justin is a projector 6/2. So we've got a conscious and an unconscious. We've got a couple of different types. It's going to be cool. So should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Awesome. So the line 6 is, the way I think about the line 6 is it's kind of like the culmination of the journey. It's this energy that looks back on the other line numbers, the 1, the 2, the 3, the knowledge, the experience, the talent. It looks to what's been spread by the 4 and how that works, where the 5 has been leading others, and then makes up its own mind. And the line 6 is here to really teach us. They're here to be that role model. And one of the things that's been fascinating for me as I've been going through my Gene Keys a number of times now, because we're running Mastermind 2.0 and we're doing the Golden Path. And I've got a lot of line 6s in really prominent places, and it's really helped me embody what it must feel like for you guys. Because, one of them is like in gate 5, which is like the shadow of impatience, the gift of patience in the line 6, which is also like patience. And that whole idea of you guys being that up until 30, you're in trial and error, very similar to the line 3. Then we get to that middle stage where 30 to 50, where you become like a little bit more reclusive. It's time to heal. It's time to create wisdom. And then 50 is this kind of like magical time where you go back out into the world and really shine that line 6 energy. And well, I suppose let's kick off, Jess, and given that you're a manifestor, in fact, you're a projector, I can give you these big, wide open questions. Do you kind of want to just respond to what I've shared just off the bat and tell us a little bit about your experience? Which part of your process, like age-wise, where are you at? And tell us a little bit about your line 6 process, or what it's like so far.
Totally. I think it's going to be really interesting because, Justin, you're kind of coming down off the roof at this point, right?
Yeah.
So we're like in these 2 different points in the line 6. So I think it'll be really interesting to look at. So I bumped around a lot. I'm in the second part, so I'm 33. And I bumped around a lot, 0 to 30, like a lot. And sometimes, I still feel like I'm in the experimentation phase to some degree, but I'm not as, it's not as aggressive of an experimentation phase as I think it was from 0 to 30. So, I think because it's on my unconscious side, I am a 4/6. it's like I don't think about it as much. And so I'm actually in this really important process right now because I'm going through a whole body healing experience and journey that I actually have to think more consciously about my line 6, because I know that it's something that helps to keep me healthy and keep me grounded and keep me deeply connected to my intuition. So something that I have had to kind of come to terms with is allowing myself to actually have that alone time so I can gain perspective and gain wisdom from what's going on in my life, and also heal from some of the ruckus that I created the first 30 years of my life as well. So I definitely relate to being a teacher, the wisdom, being able to kind of take a step back and see things from a different vantage point to guide other people. I don't consider myself a role model, to be honest with you, but I feel like one of the things I hear from people the most is like, you inspire me, you're super inspiring. And so that's more so, I more so see it reflected from other people sharing with me more so than me identifying it in myself.
Oh my God, I love that. And I think that this is a piece that's so important, because I think so often we hear the line 6 is the teacher and the leader. However, my experience of them, working with them, being married to one, it's a very different leadership. And this is the thing that I always say is it's about leading yourself first. It's about being that person that leads themselves first. And, then that becomes inspiring to others. And that kind of leads me into what, giving you the opportunity to sort of reflect on that, Jess. One of the things being married to you, like I look at this line 6 thing and go, oh my God, it's obvious. Like you were so reclusive in your, I'm going to say like your 30s and early 40s, like even to the point where, you didn't even have, you'd socialize a little bit, but hardly at all, right?
Yeah, hardly anyone, no.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of that as well was, I perhaps had the role model desire, but before I came to human design, obviously I didn't have the, as a projector as well, to layer that in, I would be an uninvited projector so often. And so my role model that was trying to share information with people was coming through the projector. And it was, not invited.
Yeah, not being received.
And so therefore not received. And so I kind of sat back and I didn't, as you say, I didn't socialize. I had very, like maybe 1 or 2 friends.
Yeah.
You included, and that was it.
Which is crazy to think, like, and I talk a lot about you on the podcast and you're being line 6. Like he's basically Yoda now. Like he walks down the street and all his people just come out of nowhere. They give him these big bear hugs and he's like, oh my God, man, you're so wise. So do you want to talk a little bit to how, what does it feel like coming off the roof? And I mean, you're 47.
Yeah, 47. So coming up 48. So I'm approaching that 50. And I think I'm really noticing it coming into its fore as we've landed here in Byron. I've kind of settled in and found my people, and those people will come to me and ask questions. And something you touched on earlier, and Jess, you touched on as well, is once you lead from yourself and look after you, that's when people really start to notice and come to you for that information, rather than you going out and saying, hey, I want something I want to lead with, and that's not necessarily invited. It's more me doing exactly what I want to do. I'm following exactly the path I choose, and people are coming to me and saying, hey, can I have some advice? If I can share a brief story. Please. This morning, I ran into a good friend of mine that I sometimes go on walks with, and last time we were out, I reflected, and he's always open to feedback. And I said, mate, can I just say something to you? Every time you speak, whether it's about money or other things in your life, you come from a lack mentality, and I want you to try and stop that. And he said, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, I'll take that on board. Thank you. And he's really good at receiving feedback. Anyway, I ran into him this morning, and it's been 3 weeks since I mentioned that to him. And he said, I've got to say, thank you so much for that little piece of wisdom. It has helped me so much. I've really reflected on it, and that lack was everywhere in my life, and I'm really trying to take steps to change that. And that was the role model in me going, and it lit me up. It felt really, really good to have just offered this little tiny piece of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Jess, do you want to respond to that?
Oh, I just love it. It's funny as you're talking to Justin, I'm like, man, you just, even your tone of voice and the way that you speak, it feels to me like there's a wisdom that comes through just even your tone of voice and how you're sharing. So, I think about, there's something that you said that I think is really important, because from a Gene Keys perspective, that line 6, when it's in the unconscious side, it's the line of nurture. And you said, when I nurture myself, I think you literally used that word, when I nurture and take care of myself, I don't have to go out there and force people into hearing my wisdom. They naturally come to me for it. So there's that real deep importance of that nurture. And I think that is something that my conditioning, I have a lot of conditioning around just like letting myself have that nurturing time and nurturing space. In fact, like, up until 2020, 2021, I was just jumping from place to place and very third line, like, try this, and even if I think of it as, okay, 0 to 30, you're more like a third line. The third line in that sphere of radiance. So we're just looking at the unconscious side, is all about interaction. It's all about going different places, being with different people, having these experiences. And so for me on that unconscious side, I'm having to consciously be okay with nurturing, slowing down, because I have these, there's certain stories in my own head about what that means. So I think when I allow myself to nurture myself more and slow down and actually take on that role of, this is important for my body to be able to share wisdom and actually have alone time so I can glean the wisdom of where I've been before, it makes a massive difference in my life. So I'm in that process of shifting from, I think still, I feel like 35 is the age that I hear a lot of my friends being like, okay, I'm up on the roof.
Yeah.
Fully. Like, I think I'm still on the ladder a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. And I like, just from the outside view, I feel like that was very similar for you. And it's like, you're only 47 and you're already coming down off the roof. And it's a very, very big difference, like from the outside. So I can only imagine what it feels like from the inside. And I want to ask that, but I want to touch on something that you said, because as I've been going through the Gene Keys, this time, patience, slow down. And I've been reflecting on it a lot from this line 6 perspective. And it really dawned on me, like, even because of course, as soon as I'm reflecting on or contemplating my line 6, I think about Justin and the journey that, we've experienced, and the way I've seen him evolve. And one of the things that I really feel about that line 6 piece and the places within me that I have a line 6 is it always takes time. And I remember reading somewhere in one of the books, like, that the line 6 can kind of almost give up, like, oh, well, stuff it, it's not going to happen. And I look from the outside, and I especially look at you, Justin, you've, had the big corporate career, and you've, done a few other things. And what's really crazy is not only have you become this kind of Yoda type person, but you've also kind of found yourself as well. Like, even with the work that you're doing, the trading that you're doing, like, all of a sudden it's something that you're like, yeah, I love this. And it's almost a passion that I feel like you've been looking for, but you never really found until now. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Yeah. Like, I think,
it's not to say that you haven't loved what you've done before. I just want to let all the line 6s out there. I'm not saying that you have to wait until you're close to 50 until you find something you love. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, if you're enjoying something in your 30s and 40s, there is potentially something even greater around the corner.
Yeah. I totally agree. As you know, for a long time, I loved what I did in corporate sales. It was awesome fun. I loved chasing deals. It was great, and I got to hang out and not do a lot of work, really. Like, it was suited me as a projector in sales. I could go and have a nap in the car, have my projector nap. Before I realized it was a projector nap, I'd go off and have my daily nap somewhere. And I enjoyed that. But then, as I'd often said to, as I said to you, Em, growing up, had I realized how much I enjoyed trading and finance and numbers, I would have gone into that field. And it's now that I'm trading and I love it, you know, and I'm saying this 2 days after a really big loss, and I still love it. It's great. I've learned so much. I feel in me how much I'm learning and growing as well from that. And so it's part of it's the line 2. I find it easy. Yeah. It's like just easy. It just comes to me, which is beautiful thing.
Yeah, you lucky bugger. All you lucky line 2s out there.
It's lovely having a line 2, but the line 6 in me, I feel, you know, is even again the same guy that I mentioned earlier I met on the beach. He is a trader too, and he asks me advice even though he's been trading longer.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to find these people who come to me and doing something that I've fallen into that I absolutely love.
Yeah. And, you know, the one thing that I also want to add to that is like, had you done trading when you were younger, it would have been really different, because now the way you trade, you're so intuitive. You listen to your spleen. It's all about how you feel in your body. It's like, yes, you know the numbers, but there's this whole level of maturity and wisdom that you bring to it, you know?
Yeah.
Jess, do you want to reflect on any of that, any of your journey? And specifically just noticing, I suppose you've really touched on that from the 3 to the 6, but is there anything else you want to respond to?
Yeah. You know, when I was younger, I started out my first career as a speech therapist, and I didn't know what to do when I was going to school. And I just remember my first day and my first job calling my dad and being like, am I supposed to know what I'm doing / am I supposed to do this for the next like 30 to 40 years? Because like, I just don't think I can do this. And so that really started this exploration into who am I, you know, my own spiritual studies, starting to do mediumship and all these different things. And what ended up happening was I had these really like lofty goals, and I really wanted to be, you know, like, I think a lot of people, like Marie Forleo was one of my biggest, you know, role models that I looked up to, and these different people that, actually a lot of them ironically were manifestors, which is really interesting, as I look and reflect now. And it's interesting because as I'm coming into my 30s, like a lot of stuff that I created, especially around like my Saturn return, like 27 to 30, just blew up. Like things that were like supposed to go a certain direction or look a certain way kind of blew up. And I look at it now being in this next phase, and it's not that I've lost my ambition, because I don't think I have. It's just really shifted. Like I'm in this place where it's so much more important for me to be intentional about what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it. And I think, you know, oftentimes we look at that 6th line with authenticity being really important.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because obviously you're never making mistakes. It's always something that I'm learning, but because I bumped into so much during that first 30-year period, I'm finding myself moving slower, even as a manifestor, more intentionally, and feeling like authenticity and integrity is a lot more important to me than just getting there. And I look at, you know, as an example, like Dr. Joe Dispenza or Karen Curry Parker. Like these people are 6th lines that now we're seeing them come into the public eye in the last 5, 6, 7 years, who are, you know, in their 50s and 60s. So I think I've started to shift where I was super like ambitious. It's got to look like this. It has to look like that. I'm going to, you know, achieve this or create that. And I'm coming into this really deep respect for authenticity and moving at a pace that isn't about going like, I don't believe in myself or I don't think I'm capable. It's just, I did some of those things before and bumped into a lot. And now I need to do this in a way that's more sustainable, honoring, and authentic to who I am.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that authenticity piece, you know, for line 6s, it is really important. And it's authenticity is important for all of us, right? But one of the ways I put it is like, you know, a large part of how I'm going to move through the world is the experiences I have as a line 3, right? And also as that line 5, you know, practical problem solver, let's say. However, for the line 6, it's literally
like, it's not about your experiences. Yes, it's about your experiences. Yes, it's about the people you're around. Yes, it's about the foundations that you create. It's all of it, but it's how you express it and how you do it. And like, this is the thing, it's like your theme is you. So it's that piece that for a line 6, you have to be patient with yourself and slowly but surely pick away the pieces that don't belong there, But yeah, I feel like this is a massive hole that we could go into, and we're not going to do a massive episode today. I do want to ask you both, from your experience of being a line 6 child, what advice would you give parents that have a line 6 child and helping them parent them? Jess, do you want to go first?
I think Justin should go first because he's a dad and I'm not a mom yet. So
well,
I'm going to
just
let
from
you
your
go
experience,
first.
I actually want to hear it from your experience, like, because I know for me, all the line 6s from that I know are line 6s that are young, they're always so freaking wise. They're wise beyond their years, So I know, I have my opinions, but yeah, okay, Just, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. Look, I suppose. Thanks, Jess. So I think one of the things I was always so wise as a kid. I had a knowing about loads of things, and not in the way like a kid's a bit of a know-it-all, just like an inner knowing. That inner knowing, of something, whatever that was. And my parents would try and explain something to me, and I'd say, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know." And they said, "No, but you wouldn't understand." And I think it's important to parent a child, a line 6 child, would be to honor that and allow them that space. Whether you think they're right or wrong is irrelevant. Really allow them, because that will allow them the opportunity for that to grow in them, rather than it be held back. Because I felt for me, a lot of it was held back. And some of that was other things, not just the line 6, but I think certainly that wisdom and inner knowing was definitely there from a very young age.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd say honor that and allow them to grow.
Love it. Jess?
I'm going to ditto that. And then I'm going to add to it that I think not putting pressure on your line 6 kid to have it figured out by the time they're 30 or perhaps even 40, like really giving that space to know that they're going to need to experiment and have that time, and encouraging it, I think, is important.
Yeah, I love that. Time. I think that's so, so important, especially in the world that we live in, because for those that are going down that road where they're, at school and then university and then they're into a career, hopefully we're trying to blow that process up in, at least in this community. But as a line 6, for a line 6 kid, just let them experiment and try. And, if they still haven't found themselves in their 30s, that's fine. They will be all right. They're very, very capable. And I think the other thing I just want to add is, one of the things I see as a coach is I see a lot of line 6s have a fear of failure. And I'm pretty confident it comes down to that line 3. And, it's like they feel their capability, they feel their wisdom, they feel they're wise beyond their years. However, they are designed to be a line 3. They're designed to make mistakes. And I often see in adult clients that are line 6s, they do have a real fear of failure and sometimes perfectionism. So those would be the things I would just want to add into the pot. Like, you're winning or learning. It's all an experiment. Just see what happens. And if you don't get the results you want, try something new, because it's going to help them throughout that whole journey of being a line 6 through their life. All right. How's your line 6 a superpower, Just?
I don't know.
Do you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, go, Jess.
I think it's the wisdom piece for me. I think it's a superpower because there's this ability to see things from a different perspective and vantage point that other people aren't able to perhaps see from in the moment.
I think it's a really good
love
point.
it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm gonna take your point and ditto that as well, because for me that I seem to see things from all perspectives and have a wisdom and knowledge of things that have popped up in my past 25 years ago, or 35 years ago, and they come up in my memory. You know, I have a friend who's doing an AMBO course, and he's asking questions about cell anatomy for his course, and he said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Oh, no, that would be the mitochondria." And he's like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "I just know it, as I had biology, you know." What was that? That was like 37 years ago. And he goes, how are you remembering? So that you're right, that wisdom is so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
what would
it.
you were said you were going to say, you know what it is? What would you say?
No, just the wisdom, you know, it's kind of the same thing. It's the way that you can, I don't know, like from my point of view, the way I just see you naturally guide all these people, especially the young guys that are, you know, that they all kind of really look up to you, and, you know, without knowing, like without thinking about it, you can just naturally respond to them in a way that it's like, that's exactly what they needed to hear. And I think also the thing for, not that I'm a line 6, but just the contemplating my line 6s in my gene keys, like patience, you know, like on my contemplation of it, I've been like, you know, I've always talked about being a late bloomer, you know, although I had a very successful career in advertising, and there was a lot of other things that have happened. I kind of look at my line 6s and how they play out in my chart, and I'm like, wow, this is why those things have taken time, because I had to have all those experiences. I had to be exposed to those things. I had to get it wrong. I had to then not be worried about my ego anymore, and get to a place where, you know, I could actually transcend so much of the other stuff people are dealing with, or, you know, that's on their plate, so that I can actually be the version of me. And I feel like that's one of the gifts of a line 6, is that you get to transcend all of that stuff and then really step into your wisdom. But that's just me with a little bit of line 6, not as much as you.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining me. I love to speak to both of you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So welcome. Thanks for the invite.
Anytime, babe, anytime. And for everyone else here, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And I look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means, get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.